Greetings, this is Dr. Matthew Hillier from the University of Adelaide. Welcome to the second in the series of Transforming Assessment, a webinar series for 2010. This particular session is about assessment of students' Web 2.0 activities, findings from an ALTC project. The presenters are Dr. Kathleen Gray and Dr. Jenny Waycott, both of the University of Melbourne, Australia. It was held on the 26th of May 2010 at approximately 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. The duration of this recording is 1 hour. The session was hosted by Professor Jeffrey Crisp at the University of Adelaide, Australia, using the Wimber Virtual Classroom system. More information can be available from our website, transformingassessment.com. I will now hand you over to our presenters.
On an Australian Learning and Teaching Council priority project that we started in the middle of last year and that continues on into next year, which has a focus on students' use of social web tools or Web 2 tools in higher education. In particular, their use for accessible work assignments, work that gets them marks in the subject. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What I'd like to say before we go any further is that we are not Web 2 boosters per se. We, as a project team, determined that there was a great deal of interest and theorizing about using Web 2 tools in higher education. In particular, a lot of conversations being started about using them for assessment, but there was very little practice knowledge being shared about how this was being done or how it might be done well. And so we really have been on a bit of a mission in this project to pull together practice knowledge that arises from essentially a number of perspectives and a number of experiences that people have been having basically in isolation from each other to date. I'm just going to introduce the rest of the team. Here we are. Jenny Waycott's on the left. I'm somewhere towards the right. Kathleen Gray is my name. The rest of the project team members are from the three universities that are leading this project: RMIT, Monash, and Melbourne. You can see that we come from a variety of disciplinary backgrounds. What I like to do in talking about this project with people is to give a bit of a story about how we got started. The story of the project is that in 2005, I started working on a joint Monash-Melbourne project focusing on issues of originality and plagiarism for academic staff, not only to pass on to students, but also in their own writing and their own scholarly communication practices. That led along a zigzag path to some extent into, in the first instance, meeting many of my other colleagues in the project team and forming an interest in some aspects of scholarly writing, academic writing, related to new and emerging technologies like social web technologies. So we've done some work on academic style guides for citing and referencing the kind of materials that one now finds in Web 2 format. Jenny and myself have done some research and development around to what extent the net generation or supposed digital natives are actually as savvy with social web technologies as one thinks, and indeed work suggests that they're probably not. We've also had a look at learning and teaching policies around Australian universities and come to the view that perhaps they in many cases don't address some of the opportunities and challenges for accessing students' Web 2 created content or Web 2 published content. And we've done a bit of a review of the literature, and as I indicated at the start, so I guess underscored our view that there's not a great deal of practice knowledge being shared, although there's clearly a lot of practice knowledge being built out. I'm just going to talk a little bit now about some of the ideas we encountered in this journey to the current project, and what they were in 20th century. It's been around for a while, and here are a couple of quotes from an article that Schotterwell wrote at the turn of the century, in which you can see from the way he phrases that he doesn't necessarily think we're on a very positive trajectory with where we're going with academic teaching. We weren't sure about the germ of concern here about making sure that what we do in university by way of adopting new technologies for teaching and assessing academic writing, that we do well and with academic values in play. Web 2.0, I have assumed, and this may be erroneous, that many people participating today heard Jeff's webinar last week at this time and are the full bottle on what Web 2.0 means and how it works and so on. I refer you all to the Wikipedia entry on the subject if you are at a loss, but in a nutshell, we're talking about blogging, podcasting, virtual worlds, social networking, social bookmarking, YouTube, Flickr, Twitter, those kinds of things. Tim O'Reilly originated the term some years ago, and late last year at a major Web 2 conference in San Francisco, he had some pretty interesting things to say about where Web 2 was going, and some very positive things about what it meant for intellectual life. However, as recently as last month, a well-known Pulitzer Prize-winning book reviewer was reviewing a couple of recent publications about the social web and its impact on culture and on discourse. And her comments were pretty disparaging, suggesting that we are at the risk of a superficial form of communication and one that really has lost the plot in terms of how Schotterwell was thinking at the turn of the century. Now, what I guess we believe is that by closely looking at practitioners who are taking on the social web for assessing student work, we think we can do better than this, and so I'm going to go on to tell you a little bit more about our project in a moment. But I'm going to pause at this stage to throw it back to everyone who's joined the webinar, perhaps to use